Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this video marketing mini masterclass, you are going to learn everything you need to know to develop your own video marketing content strategy from scratch. So make sure you check out the timestamp table of contents in the description, along with some other helpful links to developing your video content strategy and plan. So before we dive into the 7 steps of creating our video marketing strategy, there are 3 keys to success that you need to be aware of when it comes to being successful with video marketing. And the first key to success is understanding what video marketing actually is. So for our purposes here, video marketing is the process of creating content to educate potential customers to see the value in the product or service that you provide. So this is the real big key here. Content is not sales. Content is value. Content leads up to whatever you're doing for sales. But if you're thinking about making a sales letter or a webinar or doing video ads, that's part of your sales process. Here we're going to talk about content, all that stuff that gets people ready to engage with your sales messaging. So that's a very big key distinction when it comes to creating video marketing content versus video sales content. Now, the second key to success when it comes to video marketing is consistency is key. Something that we'll talk about later on in this mini masterclass in step number 5 is going to be all about how to craft your content calendar. But when it comes to content marketing, it is a marathon, not a sprint. So you need to choose a pace that you can continue month after month, year after year. This is definitely not a short-term game. And the third key to success when it comes to content marketing, specifically for video, is your key performance indicator should be the number of videos posted. Now, the best place to post videos, of course, is YouTube as of the recording of this video. That might change in the future. But when it comes to how successful your video marketing is, you need to stay focused on how many videos you're producing, because when you're just getting started with video marketing, that is the only metric that you can control. You can't control click-through rates, you can't control watch time, you can't control sub counts if you're growing a YouTube channel. You can only control how many videos you put out. So focus on how many videos you're putting out, and then let the data come in and tell you how you can change those videos, but keep that pace going. That's really important. If you're gonna look at your views and your sub count when you're trying to be successful with your digital marketing, you're gonna get depressed and give up really fast. It's one of those things, just focus on your personal efforts. The rest will take care of itself. Now, the first key to developing your content marketing strategy for video is answering the question of what is the big problem my product or service solves. So as a freelancer, entrepreneur, business owner, or maybe you just want to be an influencer, at the end of the day, you're selling something to keep the lights on, right? So whatever that product or service is, even if it's an affiliate product, you want to take a look and say, okay, what are the big problems that this product solves? Because what products are naturally designed to do is take someone from where they are to where they want to be. So whether you're doing a course, you're doing consulting, you're doing a done-for-you service, it's taking someone from I'm in situation A and I'd really like to be in situation B, with the gap there being whatever your product or service actually does. So they achieve the results that they want. We'll get more into how that actually looks practically in an example. We talk about how to craft your customer avatar. But here, all you want to do is list out 3 or 4 big problems that your product or service solves. If you have lots of products or services, just choose one for now. Now, the second step in our 7-step process for our video content marketing strategy is understanding who we're making the content for. Now, if you already have an ideal customer avatar, you can go ahead and skip ahead to this timestamp for the next step. If you don't already have a customer avatar, then this is going to be vital because it's going to ensure that you don't make the wrong content. The last thing you want to do is put all this effort, time, and energy into creating videos that ultimately nobody actually wants to watch. Or worse, you get a bunch of views, but they're the wrong type of people for your product or service. So there are 3 big questions we're going to be asking for crafting our customer avatar. What are they doing instead? Who is your ideal customer avatar? And what do they care about? Now, I know the middle one sounds like, hey, shouldn't that be the whole thing? But you'll see how it breaks down in a second. So the very first one is, what are they doing instead? You want to get a list of about 10 to 20 brands, influencers, and other competitors to you, what they're already engaging with in terms of content and what other products and services they're already purchasing. So you want to just make a quick list of what you already know. You don't have to do research here because you already understand your niche, hopefully. So once you have that list, you'll actually be able to use that list when you're creating your content later on in this mini masterclass, along with the next step here, which is who is your customer avatar. So this is all that demographic information that can kind of be helpful at times, and other times it will just not matter at all. So instead of trying to just guess, we're going to take the list of influencers and companies and competitors and media publications that we got from our first question and use Facebook Audience Insights to figure it out. So you can actually set up a Facebook ads account for free. You don't actually have to run ads. And so once you have Facebook ads set up, you can go to Audience Insights in the tools inside your ads manager. So once you click on Audience Insights, you'll be taken to a page that looks like this, where you can enter in interests. So this is actually where you're going to type in those lists of influencers, media publications, and potential competitors. And then all the information you need to know about your potential customer, about the people who are going to be actually watching your videos and engaging with your video content is right here. There's no guesswork. It's very great. So you're going to be able to figure out whether they're mostly male or female, their general age, and then if you click on other pages, you'll actually be able to discover other pages that they're engaging with, and you might actually find some other companies, media publications, and influencers that you may not have known about before. So once you've done this, there's actually another step you can do here, and this is going to apply, this is going to be a little advanced if you already have Google Analytics installed on your site. So what Facebook does is it's telling you about the whole marketplace, right? And what Google Analytics can do is it can tell you about your small little slice of your marketplace. So if you have Google Analytics, great, go ahead and watch this. If you don't, go ahead and skip ahead to the next step. Now, inside Google Analytics, you're going to go ahead and click on Audience, and you'll want to be looking at location, interests, and demographics, or I should say geo, not location. So the first step, we'll take a look at demographics. Demographics is going to tell you the age and gender and some other basic information about the people who are showing up to your site. Again, what's different about this is people who are actually on your physical site, where Facebook is looking at the whole picture. So you can actually compare and see how your site traffic is different than what your competitors or influencers in your space are actually getting. It's great. It's a great way to figure out how you can be unique compared to everyone else. Now, the second place we want to look inside of Google Analytics is our interests. So this is going to be very helpful if you're going to choose relational content when we get to step number 4. And essentially what you're looking at here is the affinity audiences will tell you what people are also interested in. So you have your core niche, right? Whatever your product or service or business is all about, but you also want to know what other things do people care about, right? So they might be moviegoers, or you're looking at this screenshot here. I could see technology people and value shoppers are a tiny percentage of the people who are showing up to this particular site. So if I'm making content, I could talk about value shopping, or I could include some technology stuff in whatever I'm doing with my content so I can relate to potential customers on a more personal level. So that's how this is helpful. Now, the last place you want to look is where do they live? And this is just basic under geolocation. It will tell you where in the world people are coming from. Now, the next question we have is what do they care about? And we'll actually break this down into 2 sub-questions, and we're going to use these throughout the rest of our process for crafting our video marketing content plan and calendar. So here we have what results are they after, and what is their perceived roadblock. So let's go ahead and use someone who's trying to grow a YouTube channel as an example. So what results are they after? They want to grow their channel. They probably want to quit their job and figure out how to do YouTube full time. Okay, great. So what do they think is getting in the way of the results that they're after? Well, it's probably poor ranking, not enough subscribers, and not enough views, and maybe they think their video quality isn't the greatest. Okay, great. That's all we need to do for this step. So for the rest of this tutorial, we're going to be using this customer avatar and these questions as the foundation for creating your content plan. Now, there's actually a second step that's going to tie everything we just talked about to actually creating your video content plan, calendar, and actual individual videos. And that is looking at their experience level. So this is very important in terms of making sure that we're going to create videos that connect with the people that we ultimately want to connect with. So we want to ask this question: where are they on their journey? So taking a look at this diagram, we have in the middle our product or service that solves the big problem. We already know the three or four problems that it solves. And then now we have all of the potential people we could reach. These are different versions of your customer avatar, right? And they are either real close to buying a product or service, or they're very far away from buying your product or service. And the distance is how much content they need in order to be educated and moved along that customer journey to where they're ready to purchase your product or service. So this could be either they're completely unaware of the problem, or it could be that you need to solve some other problems for them so that they ultimately have the problem that your product or service solves. So let's go ahead and go through an example of what this looks like. And the simplest way to do this is to think of experience in terms of time. So we'll look at people who've been in the niche 1 month, 3 to 6 months, and then 1 year plus. So we'll go back to the last 2 questions we asked in our customer avatar research. What results are they after? What is the perceived roadblock? Okay, well, someone who is 3 to 6 months in is going to be very different than someone who is 1 month in or over a year in, but they're all going to be struggling with these roadblocks. They'll just be at different places. So here are 3 example questions of what someone would be asking at each stage. So someone who's brand new is just saying, how do I get views? Someone who's 3 to 6 months in is frustrated that they're not getting subscribers. And the last person is just trying to rank their videos. They're getting frustrated that they're not ranking even though they're making a bunch of content. So for the first one, we could do a video that says how to rank your first YouTube video. Now it's very important here, you're seeing how to rank your first YouTube video. That wouldn't appeal to the 3 month or the 1 year person because they've already tried to rank a video. So when we're talking to someone who's 3 to 6 months in, we're going to assume that they've already tried that. So we're going to help them the next step, which would be how to re-rank your fallen videos, or how to improve your videos that are already ranking. So you can kind of see how the first one is for someone who's completely new. The second one is for someone who's already tried this and they're struggling with the next step in the process. And then finally, someone who's over a year in, we'd actually continue still talking about ranking, but now we'd say how to use playlists to rank videos, or how to rank videos that are over 6 months old. And of course, someone who's only a month or 3 months in, they're not gonna have enough videos for playlist ranking to even matter. And someone who is less than 6 months in, well, they don't have any videos that are older than 6 months. So you can see here that we're focusing on the same goal, which is growing a YouTube channel, and the same problem, which is ranking videos, but we're creating very different pieces of content depending upon where they are on their journey. Now, obviously, it's going to take some practice to do this, and this is a very simple example. We could get more convoluted and complex, but we don't have to, right? We don't have to get more complex. This is as complex as it needs to be. So we have our customer avatar, and we have a general idea of what a 1 month, 3 to 6 month, or 1 year plus person looks like. You can change those timeframes for whatever makes most sense to you. So now, taking a look at this diagram, you can see that these are the different videos that we would put together depending upon how far away they are from purchasing our product or service, which in this example is a YouTube growth course. What's very important here is this is not about convincing people your way is best. It's very important that you are talking to people who already do what your product or service solves. So for instance, if you're doing something about a high-fat diet, right? You don't want to go start talking to a bunch of vegans because they don't want to eat meat. And the opposite is true. So what you want to do is target people and educate people who are already on board with your general way of doing things. They don't have to be exactly the same belief system, but similar enough where you're not trying to convert people into your way of thinking. That's a very long and expensive process. It's doable, but you're going to be sitting around for years before you start seeing your content actually produce fruit, and you're going to get a lot of hate in your comment section. So before we dive into the next 4, I want to quickly summarize what we've covered so far, because we've covered a lot, and these are the 3 foundational steps that will allow us to now go into actually talking about the video content we will be creating. So the very first thing we did at the top here is we looked at our product or service and we identified the 3 to 4 big problems. Then we went through our customer avatar, finding out what the top brands, influencers were in our niche, competitors. We used Facebook and Google to figure out a general profile of who they are. And then using our what results are they after and what perceived roadblocks are they after, we took a look at the different experience levels of content we could create. So with all this information, we have our foundation, we're good to go. Now it's time to go ahead and talk about the 2 types of content you can make with video. And specifically, I'm going to assume that you're going to be posting the video to YouTube. At the end, we'll talk about syndication and how you can cut up your YouTube video and do a bunch of fun stuff with it. But here, there are two types. We have authority building and we have relationship building. So authority building content provides high value through how-to tutorials and in-depth reviews, whereas relationship building is all about building relationships through storytelling. So this would be vlogs and documentation. So on this channel, for example, I actually do both. I have tutorials like the one you're watching now, and I have relationship style content in the form of my vlog. Now, I definitely recommend you start with the relationship style versus trying to go full-blown content creation, because documentation is the easiest way to get started. And if you're not quite sure about what to talk about or what to share, then you can go ahead and use this wheel of spiritual, career, business, finance, family, health and fitness, fun, recreation, friends, and of course, personal development. And this is just a general overview of all the different facets of your life you could share inside of a vlog or just kind of a documentation of whatever process you're going through. And I'll get to documentation process in a second here. But what's very important is you choose what you want to share, and maybe more importantly, what you choose not to share. Because if there's an area of your life where you don't want to be 100% transparent, then just don't talk about it at all, because you need to be genuine in the content you're putting out. There's no fake it till you make it with storytelling. So if you're going to be doing a vlog and you're going to be sharing your life, you choose which parts you share and which parts you don't. It's very mucky if you try to do half of one of these pieces of the pie. You just want to black out the whole thing if you don't want to share anything about it. Now, when it comes to documentation, you might be asking, okay, well, what does that look like? Well, there are actually two ways you can document. Number one is if you've already achieved a result that your ideal customer is after, you can just create videos that talk about how you did it, kind of a post how you did it, right? Whereas my favorite actually type of content and how I got started is you can do the document in real time. So maybe you haven't achieved that result that your ideal customers also want, or you're trying to achieve kind of the next level. And so what you can do here, this is the best type of storytelling I think, is you document the process of you going through that. So for example, I did 44 videos on this channel where I actually started off saying, hey, I want to build a consulting sales funnel and sell a information product and then sell consulting on the back end. So for 44 videos, once a week, I definitely recommend you do more than once a week now, but back in the day, I just did once a week, every like Saturday or Sunday or something. I sat down and I just recorded my process of what I had done over the past week. That was it. And I just really focused in on what I was struggling with and cool things that I had learned. And it was helpful to other people because they were going through the same journey. And so I was able to help other people go along the same journey. Now, what's very important here is you might be wondering, okay, Jason, but what happens if you fail? Won't everyone hate you and make fun of you? Oddly enough, no, there's always going to be haters and there's always going to be people who make fun of you. But in that particular example, I actually wound up losing almost $5,000 in Facebook advertising and some other fees on that sales funnel. That funnel didn't work at all. Now, eventually I did show one that did work, but I just want to let you know that it's okay to fail and it's much more authentic if you do. Now, when it comes to creating tutorial authority builder style content, we'll get more into how to generate ideas for that in the next section, which is creating your content calendar. Now, your content calendar is going to be your video marketing roadmap. And the first step to creating your content calendar is choosing 3 to 5 pillars for your content. And this is going to ensure that you stay focused on the type of video content you're creating, but it's also going to ensure that you don't talk about the same thing over and over and over again. Because the last thing you want to do is post 5 or 6 videos that are talking about the exact same thing. And that's not great for the YouTube algorithm, because the algorithm is going to see that people are starting to drop off because they don't want to watch the same topic 5 times in a row, however often you're posting, and then they'll stop watching and then you'll stop showing up in their suggested. So we need to rotate the type of video content that we're posting. So what you want to do is go back to, you guessed it, your customer avatar and take a look at the goals that they have, the results that they want, and take a look at the perceived roadblocks. Now, taking a look at our results and roadblocks, I've chosen to do channel growth, video production, and monetization techniques. So I'm doing a combination of things that they're struggling with and results that they want. Of course, channel growth, that's just general overarching. How do you make sure that your YouTube video is successful? Video production would be all about improving the quality of the video, the equipment, and all that fun stuff. And then of course, monetization tactics would be all about what it takes to actually make money from a YouTube channel. Now that we have our content pillars, the big question is, how many times a week should we be posting? So I'm going to skip the usual, well, it depends, and your own schedule, work on your time. No, I want you to be successful, so you need to post at least 3 times a week if you want to be successful with a video marketing strategy, especially if you're posting to YouTube like I suggest. Of course, it does come down to what you can actually consistently do. But if you're serious about your video marketing strategy, then 3 times a week is what you need to do in order to be successful with YouTube. And it's a marathon pace. So you want to strap in, get in the rhythm of posting 3 videos a week, and then just go for it, right? And focus on staying consistent with those 3 videos a week. And this is why creating your content pillars is so great, because now you know what type of video to make for each day, and you're ensuring that you don't make 2 of a video that's very similar and you don't want them coming out back to back. So the next step in creating your content calendar, now that you know your pillars and you know how many times a week you're going to post, it's time to plan out a month's worth of content. I highly recommend doing everything in one sitting. Do your keyword research and do your title writing in one sitting. This is personally how I do it. I just go to a coffee shop and for 6 or 7 hours, I sit there and I plow through the keywords I'm going to use over the next month, and I write the titles and a little social media teaser for every video. This ensures that when I go to make content for the month, I don't have any anxiety over, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm gonna post today. Instead, it's the anxiety of, oh my gosh, I have to make a video. But if you have the anxiety of, oh my gosh, I have to come up with an idea and then I have to actually make a video and record it, that's a lot to get over in one day or one sitting. So I definitely recommend separating them. You're going to be a lot more successful, and it's going to be easier for you to make sure that you're not creating similar style videos over and over again. Because when you're in that brainstorming session, you might come up with 3 or 4 really good ideas, but they're too similar to post back to back. So you can easily see your entire month and make sure you spread out those great ideas so they're not coming out back to back. Now, a big question I get, especially when it comes to YouTube, is, okay, how do we do keyword research? Simple, but time consuming. And that is the YouTube suggestions box. So if we go back to our customer avatar profile, the last 2, we had the perceived roadblock and what they're trying to achieve. So what you want to do, now that you know your topics and you know what they're trying to, the problems that they have, go ahead and go to YouTube and put on your customer avatar's hat and start typing in how to blank, best way to XYZ, or top, resources for ABC. Whatever it is, search as if you're trying to solve the problem yourself, as if you're trying to achieve those results yourself. And the YouTube suggestion box will give you the keywords. So whatever keywords you're going after, they should be something that's showing up as a suggested search term. I know it's a time-consuming process, but it's the absolute best way to make sure that you're creating videos that people are actually searching for. And to help you with this process, there's a link in the description to the Aspire notebook where you can actually download a free Google Sheets template of the content calendar that I use. It's a very simple thing that you can download, but it helps me stay organized, and it's what I still use to this day to make sure that I plan out all of my content and of course keep organized with all the content ideas that you'll inevitably come up with. And now that you have your content calendar, you're ready to actually start making some content. So we won't dive into all of the gear that you could use and all of the equipment and hooks and calls to action. I'm just going to go through the basic content frame of how you make sure that you deliver an aha moment when someone is watching your content. That's really what you want, especially if you're doing tutorial style. So with the tutorial style, just realized I forgot to say this, when I talked about keyword research, that's how you come up with ideas for your tutorial style videos. Whereas if you're doing documentation, you're probably just going to be off the cuff naming your videos, whatever you talked about in that video. Keyword research won't be a huge part of what you're doing if you're just doing documentation. So either way, either type of content you're putting together, this is going to apply to making sure that the content is actually relatable to who you're talking about. And that's using these 3 questions of the content frame. First, we have the big question, which is the user intent. We have the desired result, which is ultimately going to be the unique selling proposition or unique mechanism of your video. And then the perceived roadblock, again, where we're not taking those roadblocks we talked about earlier. We're looking at what's the roadblock to the question that they're asking. So let's go through an example so that this actually makes practical sense. So for our purposes here, we're going to go back to our first question for someone who's just under a month under YouTube and saying, how do I get more views to my videos? Okay, great question. But what is the actual result that they're after? Because they don't just want more views. They want more views because they believe it's going to lead to more subscribers, growing their channel, ultimately making money so they can quit their job. And that's pretty much how most of the desired results are actually going to wind up looking. You're going to see that it's actually going to become repetitive, where you're seeing that they're asking this question, but ultimately everybody still wants the same result. And the final part here is the perceived roadblock. And for this example, I'm just going to say the person's in their head is saying, it's important you write this in first person, my channel is too small to compete and I don't have the budget for better equipment / ads. Okay, great. So the main question we're answering is, how do I get more views? The ultimate result that they want is they want a large channel so they could probably quit their job. And what's getting in the way of that is they think that their channel's too small to be competitive, to actually get views compared to bigger channels, and they don't have a budget to buy better equipment or ads. Okay, great. So what would it look like if we put together a video title and introduction for this type of question? So to answer this question, and I'm assuming how do I get more views? That's what showed up in the search box when I was doing my keyword research. So here's the title I would use. We'd say how to get more views as a small channel under 500 subscribers. And then if I was doing the introduction to that video, I would say, in this video, you're going to learn a video ranking strategy that allows you to compete with larger channels on YouTube, even if you have less than 500 subscribers. So now with the highlight, you can see here, get more views. That's letting them know that this is going to answer the question of how do they get more views. As a small channel under 500 subscribers, I'm specifically calling out to someone who has a small channel, and I'm showing them in the title that I understand their frustration. Of course, if we were making this video for someone who's over a year, or if for someone who's only 3 or 6 months in, we could change the perceived roadblocks based upon what problems we think they're having at 3 months versus the problem they'd be having at less than a month. So now you have everything you need to create your video marketing strategy for YouTube or whatever platform you decide to post videos to. So now what I want to talk about, the final step number 7, is going to be syndication. Now what's great is video is the best content medium to create as your core because it's very easy to chop it up and repurpose it for other platforms. Now what's very important as we go into syndication is if you're deciding that video is going to be the core of your strategy, then you want to focus on video and you want other people on your team, even if you don't have a team yet, to be the ones who are going to syndicate everything, because you need to focus on being the best you can be and creating as much video content as possible, and then grow a team so that it can be syndicated out. So it's very important. Personally, I started the first 2 years that I posted to YouTube, I had to do everything, and it took me a while to get enough income from my business to actually start bringing people on and help me with syndication of YouTube content. So it's definitely not something that's going to happen right out of the gate. But talking about syndication, the very first place you should look is your WordPress blog. So what you can do here is you don't even have to start with a transcription. You can just take your YouTube video and put it on your WordPress blog. That's step number 1. You're syndicating to one place. Congratulations. So step number 2 would be actually looking at cutting it up so you can post many versions of the video over on Instagram or Facebook, but only Facebook if you already have an audience. If you're trying to grow an audience on Facebook, that's gonna be a lot of money. So Instagram, Facebook if you already have it, and then you can also post excerpts on LinkedIn, so 2 to 3 minutes on LinkedIn. Or what you can do is you can get your video transcribed, put the transcription below your blog post, and then create a mini version of that transcription and post it as a LinkedIn post, and then have a link that says go check out the blog for the full thing, or they can just watch the video straight there on LinkedIn. So what's really cool is because you already have your content content calendar. Underneath the line here, I'm showing, then you wanna go ahead and decide when you're going to post on all the other platforms. So that way you're focused on your video content marketing strategy and you're focused on getting those videos out. And then you can look at the other platforms because you're taking those videos and you're syndicating them across the other platforms. You can look at, okay, well, what can I post on other days that I'm not posting a video? Because chances are you're not gonna start by posting 5 videos a week. Definitely something to work your way up to. So thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope you got some value out of this video and you at least got a couple of aha moments on how to craft and put together your video content marketing strategy. This definitely isn't something that happens overnight. It takes a really long time to put together, way longer than this super long mini masterclass. So go ahead and comment below if you have any questions on putting together your own video marketing content strategy. Hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth marketing tutorials and walkthroughs just like this one. And until the next video, keep building the business you love.